Welcome to Lost on Ice, the show about the show 20 years later. Today, we're talking about Lost Season 5, episodes 13 and 14. I'm Will, also here is Ben, and you can watch full video episodes of the podcast on YouTube. Ben and I also release a bonus hangout show every week that can be found at patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. So yeah, episodes 13 and 14. I guess I'm gonna come clean. I was debating internally about like whether or not, but it feels weird not to say so. We've been on a break.
Yeah.
We
You've
not
been
release
tricked.
schedule wise, yeah. But we pre-recorded some episodes, and this is the first episode back after a little while, and it's kind of weird. It feels a little bit weird to have taken this break and then come back to these. It feels good to be back on the island, but I am not a big fan of these episodes.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I liked the first one today. Second one, little not so much. But
I'm in this. Okay, I'm in the same boat. And yeah, and so like I want to just say something like that because like I don't know if it's because we took a break. It's just kind of weird to get back into it. But I do think
Yeah.
that like there's we've seen a similar problem in other seasons of Lost, like this like penultimate stretch of episodes leading up to the finale are sometimes a little like wheel spinny or something. Like I feel like the main point of this season lies with Locke and Ben, or at least that's the stuff that I'm most interested in. I mean, we just don't see them in these episodes, so it's just not going to be quite as interesting. But it's still season 5, which is definitely a high point for the show. I'm hoping that they stick the landing, I guess. I don't know. There hasn't been like, it's been a little while since there's been a finale of the season that I've been really psyched about. So I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. We went away. There's a big world out there. Trying to think what we could
We
have
went on
done.
spring break. It was spring break for us.
Yeah.
We
Went to the island. back to the island.
As always, like every week we do that. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I feel like there's probably no better solution to this problem than just getting into it. Let's just talk about what's going on. So let's talk about season 5, episode 13. Some Like It Hoth.
That's a me name. I was thinking that to myself. That's the kind of name that I would have come up with if I was a writer, where it's like, what if two unrelated things?
Mm-hmm. And I just texted you right before this. I texted you and our other sometimes co-host about this, but there's like Star Wars is in the news, so it's kind of appropriate that we're talking about it this week. But
Yep.
Ben, Darth Jar Jar is coming to Fortnite.
Awesome.
Your thoughts?
I gotta say, I know more about Jar Jar than I do about Fortnite, which is mostly to say that I don't know much about either. But yeah, you sent me a picture, and I was about to message you. Is Jar Jar a duck? Because he's looking kind of like a duck.
You've seen the movie.
I've seen the movie. I know. So I know that he's not a duck, but he kind of looks like a duck in this presumably Fortnite related thing that you sent me.
Yeah. I'm up on
Is
the
Fortnite like a shooting game?
I thought so. Like I've tried to jump in. I tried to drop in a couple times, and it's completely incomprehensible. Like the menus, I can't navigate. And I don't know where like Jar Jar fits into all of this, but I figured, Star Wars is in the news. They're gonna make another Star Wars movie in 2027. Star Wars Starfighter. So we're gonna
Starfighter.
Yeah. We'll get our
very lame name.
Our gang back together.
Gotta say.
Starfighter. Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Star Wars. Star Battle.
Star Wait, isn't
Wars, that the Star Battle?
Yeah. Space conflict.
Cool.
Yeah, it's called Starfighter. Star Wars Starfighter.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, and Ryan Gosling is gonna star in it.
Okay,
He's gonna.
that's cool.
Interesting.
I-
Okay. Well, this is not a show about Star Wars. This is a show about Lost, apparently. Season 5, episode 13, Some Like It Hoth. It aired April 15th, 2009. This is probably about the closest, like, time of year that we're gonna be to. So, like, we were really. It feels like we could mid the Ides of April is when this came out, and it's the middle of April now. Wow, amazing. April 15th, 2009. It was directed by Jack Bender. It was written by Melinda Sue Taylor and Gregory Nations. Oh, I just watched Common Side Effects. You seen that?
No.
Okay. Anyone's seen Common Side Effects? There's a joke in an early episode where a guy's name is Gregory. And so I think about that when I see Gregory. So, all right. The Wikipedia article to this episode states that the title, Some Like It Hoth, is evidently a reference to the 1959 film Some Like It Hot and the fictional planet Hoth in the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
And then it says citation needed. Which, like, I guess fair.
It's fair, yeah.
How deep are you gonna cite some of the stuff? Like, some of it's like, duh. Does it should just say duh in parentheses?
Okay, I also saw that. I looked at the Wikipedia page. I often don't do any research before watching it or before recording any of these episodes.
Mhm.
But I did on this one because I was wondering, like, I've seen Some Like It Hot. Have you seen it?
Yes.
And I've seen whatever the Hoth Star Wars movie is because I saw it before we even did all of our Star Wars
Empire Strikes
episodes.
Back.
Empire Strikes Back, okay, whatever it was. I've seen that. And also, I'm just not an idiot, so I can put the two things together, even if I hadn't seen either of those. Hurley talks about Star Wars.
Yes.
And now that you've told me that it's in The Empire Strikes Back, okay, also makes even more sense.
Where does
Where's
the
the Some Like It Hot part come in? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, I remember Marilyn Monroe, the lemon guy, can't remember his first name, but famous Jack Lemmon. Is that his name? Billy Wilder.
Yeah.
Just Some Like a Hot. I remember it. Pretending to be a woman.
Well,
You got
there's
Marilyn Monroe.
there's jazz connections, right?
There's jazz.
And don't they
They go to-
talk
they go to
talk about
Florida.
jazz in this episode a little bit?
But
Maybe.
there's not really a connection unless
Yeah,
I'm,
no, there's not
I'm
really a
really
connection.
forgetting.
No, you're right.
Am
Your
I
point
forgetting
is
something?
correct. No.
It's just, which is
Um,
why I say it's like a me name, which is like, what if this thing that wasn't related, but it kind of sounds, good.
I remember it's been a few years since I've seen this. Many years, I guess, several years, somewhere between a few and many years since I've seen this, and Some Like It Hot. I mean, I remember it being like, it's a 1959 movie about, men dressing up as women, and so you're
Yeah.
like, this could be really bad. But I remember it like it's surprisingly
good.
like
It's pretty good.
it's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That was my take.
My one production note, not about Lost. I've never brought a production note to our Lost podcast, but my one production
Mhm.
note I always remember about Some Like It Hot is that the last line in the movie had to be changed to kind of get past the censors or whatever at the time. I know that this is a post. What do you say? Post
The Hays code,
code,
or whatever.
Hays
Yeah.
code thing or whatever. But like, because I think at the end, Jack Lemmon, is that the guy's name? I can't remember the other guy's. Whatever. And he's like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm a woman, or sorry, I'm a man. And then the military guy or whatever says like, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Pretty funny. But
Yeah.
I think the original, which is actually it is a funnier line. I think the original line was supposed to be I'm a man, and then he says, I know. And that had to be censored
Ah,
out, whatever, removed with Nobody's Perfect, which I actually think is a funnier
yeah, that's
line.
the rare studio note that
Yeah,
improves the yeah.
yeah. Anyway, it's not what this
Gross.
is
Like what if you
about.
like that the first the first pass. uh
Ugh!
oh, yeah,
Ugh!
there was 30 minutes. Okay. Oh, well, now we're doing worse than okay. Anyway,
Yeah,
whoops.
we're no Billy Wilders over here.
We're no Billy Wilders. So something that happened to me earlier this week is I kicked over a bottle of hand lotion on my floor and I got lotion all over my hard drive. Or power supply or something. So bear with me here.
Likely story.
I swear to God. So this episode is about Miles. It helps build out Miles as a character who's going to be important to the larger story of Lost. He's a newer character, so that could be a tall order to make somebody care about him that much. But I think it mostly pulls it off. So at flashbacks, as a child, Miles discovers that he can hear the voices of dead people so long as their bodies are nearby. So we get to see little Miles. They
Some
called him Foot.
Sometimes they do this stuff. I mean, they almost always do this thing in Lost where there are like 3 phases of revealing something
Mm-hmm.
where it's like 1 revealed in a normal sort of subtle way where if you're like kind of paying attention, you're picking up on something. Where like in this case, I don't know, 2+ seasons ago, 1+ season ago, whatever, you're kind of picking up on the fact, oh, Miles has something, you know, little something going on, you know. Oh, maybe he can Miles talk to dead people? Is that what's going
That
on?
was his like overt introduction.
I mean, but that sure,
Okay.
but like
Okay.
for 3 seconds, maybe you're thinking that, and then you go like forward, and they kind of like to this episode, and they kind of like reveal it again with this backstory. But I don't know. I guess I'm just complaining that it's like they're kind of doing a second pass at revealing something that we already know. And then they always do the
Sure.
third phase, which is, and I'm skipping forward just a little bit in this episode, where like he and his mom like have to say for the dumbest people watching the show now, if you haven't understood this yet, mom's like Miles, can you talk to dead people? Can you understand dead people? And then actually, I think Hurley says it
Yes,
later
it
on
really
as
spells it out.
well.
Yeah.
I can speak to dead people too. Miles, you can talk to them as well. And then they have to explain all of the mechanics of it too.
I think there was something else going on with the mechanics conversation, but point taken generally that yeah, I think the reveals about Miles's backstory are less that like revealing his power
Yeah.
and more about like his relationship with his parents here. Um
There is a
and-
great reveal soon to come, though, about
yeah.
Miles, which is much better than
I
any of
can't
the
wait to
supporting
talk
stuff.
about that. Yeah. So when his mother Laura is dying of cancer years later, Miles questions her about his father. She says that his father died when Miles was still a baby and that he never cared about her or Miles.
Another thing that's about to
Some
be revealed 2 more times throughout this episode. First one,
some Star Warsy type stuff
Miles
going on
doesn't
here.
have a dad.
Yeah. Who? Yeah.
I don't want to give it away. If
Yeah.
you're a dumb person, we won't give it away yet.
Miles is later employed by a man, Dean Norris, to speak with his dead son. So I wrote down Dean Norris like just because I saw his name in the credits up top, and I was like, "Ooh, we're gonna get a cool guest spot." So this would have
Yeah.
he would have already been starring in Breaking Bad by this point.
Yeah.
But this is prime
Which is
Dean
really
Norris.
weird to think about.
If
There was this
doesn't it? It
period in
feels
time
like
where you could be watching
Lost is like
Lost.
well before
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. But yeah, you could be watching.
I didn't watch Breaking Bad until the very end either.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
pretty
mean,
much watched the
that's
whole
why. Yeah.
season during the 1 week between the second to last episode and the last episode. And then I watched the last episode. That was a great run,
Great.
folks.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to drop it and say great job on the show. Yeah. But I mean, like, Dean Norris is great. He's a great screen presence. It's too bad that they couldn't mic him though. Like well, I don't know, in your like copy or whatever, the sound was just awful in his first scene, or like the first like half of his scene.
It sounded okay for my thing.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe
this isn't quite ringing a bell, but maybe they got it upgraded.
It was like barely audible. Okay.
They do some. They do this like shot of him from the side with Miles that I like. That is very unflattering to him, and he's kind of got the like Arthur Chu New Balance thing going on with his shoes. I don't know. I just thought it was a very funny fit to see him in.
Who's fit?
Old guy. What's his name?
Oh, okay.
Hank.
Dean Norris.
What's his name? Hank. Dean Norris.
His name is like Howard in this, isn't it? It's something like that. Okay. Since the boy's body was cremated, Miles lies and says that the boy knew his father loved him. Miles is eventually approached by Naomi Dorrit, who, after ascertaining that he is not a fraud, offers him $1.6 million to go to the island on the freighter. Naomi's wearing a pretty wild wig throughout this.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
To show you that time has passed backwards.
It's just a different time. I mean, like, they really go... They really use hair as a language here, as a little signifier here, right? And, like, we're gonna just fuck you up in the dressing room. Just to show... It's like something else that we're doing. Yeah. So yeah, he agrees because he wants that money. However, he is later kidnapped by people who claim that the owner of the freighter, Charles Widmore, is on the wrong team.
He's kidnapped by a bunch of high school bullies, but also oddly kind of nice to him. You know,
kind of nice, but also don't
kind of warm.
I mean, they're doing this. This is probably some sort of like TV trope, but they are not. I don't know, like the appeal to get you to join their team. There's like no reason to go with them really.
Yeah.
They just say like, you know, join us. You're on the wrong team.
Do you know
like in Star Wars,
lies
it's like
in the shadow?
Be on the dark side, Luke. There's like no like real good reason to do any of that. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like, do you know what lies in the shadow of the statue? Miles is unable to answer, so they boot him.
Well, Miles also, being Donnie Deals over here, and he's like, I'll do it for money. And my first and only offer will be double what I've been given so far. $3.2 million. Like, okay, that's pretty steep. And they come back with the awesome counter offer, tenting your fingers and saying, how about nothing?
Yeah, you receive nothing.
And then they win.
And in return, also nothing. We're just going to leave you here.
We will throw you out of the car.
Yeah. Yeah, Miles says he will not go to the island unless they double the money, the amount that Miles asks Ben for in Eggtown. Their leader, Bram. Know any other Brams? No other famous Brams?
No. Is the name said? Did he say his name? Oh, okay. I missed that.
Stoker, right?
Yeah.
That's the only
one. The only one I could think of.
Yeah. And Wikipedia tells me their leader, Bram, who was later a passenger on Ajira Airways Flight 316, asked Miles the question, what lies in the shadow of the statue? Miles cannot answer, so he tells Miles that he will not be ready to go to the island until he can. They then let Miles go.
Yo, this guy doesn't know what lies in the shadow of the
Lil bro
statue.
doesn't know about this statue.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You cannot go to the island yet.
Miles later returns the money that he was paid by the dead son's father, admitting that he lied and saying that the man should have told his son that he loved him before he died.
Oh, ice cold for kind of no reason. I mean, I get what's going on, but still.
That was I like the whole like emotional stuff going on with Miles. I mean, especially in comparison to like the next episode. So like
Sure.
I think I'm looking back on a little bit more fondly. Yeah, the dad stuff with Miles is all right. Obviously he's thinking about his relationship with his father, and Dean Norris. He didn't need to return back, and Dean Norris is like, yeah, why didn't you just keep the money? He's like, he's processing stuff. All right, in 1977, following the events of Whatever Happened, Kate and Sawyer.
Wait, sorry. Did we
Yes.
miss the best part of this episode?
That was just the flashbacks. Was it in the flashbacks that we needed to?
Yeah. Did we
With
miss
young Miles?
We missed a slightly older young Miles, teenage Miles.
Okay, I might be thinking of a different part. What do you want to bring up?
Teenage Miles.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? When he's talking to his
No.
mom. You don't remember when Ken Lung suddenly shows up with spiked out hair? And
Oh, yeah. And apparently exactly 15 piercings.
Yeah. Oh, for real.
Yes.
You can count them out. Nice.
It's one of the numbers.
Nice. It was awesome. I could not pay attention to anything that was being said. No disrespect to people that do that, but I gotta say, like, I could not focus on anything else. I was like, very distracting. Once again, a hair change, makeup change to show you that some amount of time has passed. This is no longer a young man, and this is also not the future Miles yet. And
that like he's real angsty, right? Like it's supposed to reflect his like rebellious anti-authority because he doesn't have a father figure. Like you could do like a lot of reading into this kind of thing, but like boys without their dads be spiking their hair and piercing their faces. Yeah, pierce every square inch. Yeah, 15 piercings.
Yeah, I just really like that. I thought it was very fun.
Okay, well then I can't wait for the other best thing of the episode.
Sure,
happens later.
Sure.
In 1977, following the events of Whatever Happened, Kate and Sawyer return from bringing Ben Linus to the island's native population, known as the Others. Kate returns to the infirmary where Juliet had been treating Ben for a gunshot wound. Ben's father, Roger, arrives and notices that Ben has gone missing. Which, by the way, have we talked about he's in White Lotus?
Yeah.
Roger? Okay.
I think so. I mean, I think first time he shows up. Well, I know he is, but I think first time he showed up, I called out that he's, to me, he's always Uncle Rico.
Right. Ben's father, Roger, arrives and notices that Ben has gone missing. Kate later extremely suspiciously approaches Roger, who has been drinking, and says that everything will be okay.
Yeah,
she's acting really odd.
Very odd.
They're very suspicious.
But he kind of has like an suspicious NPC moment with her, where like for like 30 seconds his attention has been heightened, or his suspicion has been heightened, where he's like, hold on, why are you asking about this? And she's like, whoa, calm down. He's like, whoa, I'm gonna tell on you. She's like, whoa, hold on.
And she like crouches in a bush and waits for him to like.
I'm gonna walk away, and then he walks away. His vision cone
to turn back yellow.
He takes a drink of beer and then sits back down to be angsty again. Crisis
Whoa,
averted.
what was that? Must be the wind. Yeah. But he grows suspicious of her and demands to know what happened to Ben. And she is just like, nothing, and then heads out. He later tells Jack of his suspicions leading Jack to tell Sawyer and Juliet. So yeah, Jack and Roger face off in a classroom. They're both janitors, and Roger's like, Kate, and Jack's like, freaking who? And Kate, yeah, I'm suspicious of her. And meanwhile, Jack is erasing a chalkboard that says Egyptian/old Egyptian on it. They're like, those are two like things on the chalkboard. Interesting.
It's the difference between English and Old English. They were back in King Tut when he came around, young whippersnapper, doing all this slang, and then they had yield Egyptian before him. King Tut.
I mean, that is true, right? Like that's the
kid.
like we could just kind of all think of like, well, you know how everyone thinks of all of the Egyptian stuff happening simultaneously.
Well, yeah,
no,
true.
but like the pyramids and like Cleopatra is nearer to present day than when the pyramids were built, kind of thing. Like that's
Is that one actually true?
I think that's true. So that's kind of like,
whoa, nice.
Think about.
Yeah. I mostly think about the ones that are like, yo, isn't it crazy that Joe Biden was born closer to the Civil War than the present day? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, Jack tells Sawyer and Juliet about what's going on with that. And after dismissing Jack, Sawyer is confronted by Phil, Mr. Patrick Fischler, who has seen the security video of Sawyer taking Ben. Sawyer knocks Phil unconscious and tells Juliet to get rope and tie him up. So like, Jack goes to Sawyer and Juliet's house and is like telling Julia about stuff. Sawyer isn't home yet. Sawyer walks in though, and he's like, oh, he's had a really big long day, and he says, "You ever feel like a little Dutch boy with your finger in the?" And then he turns and sees Jack, Doc, and I got a big laugh. Good. Now that's writing for you. How can we kind of say this on network TV? Miles, meanwhile, is sent by Horace Goodspeed, the Darby Initiative's leader on the island, to the construction site of the Swan Station to retrieve a dead body and bring it to Dr. Pierre Chang, who is Miles' father at the Orchid Station.
In case you couldn't figure it out, it is now. Well, actually, Miles says it out. In case you couldn't figure it out, then 5 seconds later, Michael says, or whatever, Miles says that asshole's my dad or whatever.
Yeah, he's my dad. Viewers who assume any given Asian characters are related getting a huge W this
Big
episode.
W. Yeah. But I gotta say, well, okay, maybe the related part, but also like, yeah, just lost logic is like, well, there are two Asian characters with unaccounted for backstories, so they're probably going to be related.
Yeah.
We'll link them together.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big deal going on with like the Severance stuff going on to this season, where everyone's like, Miss Wong is related to Miss Casey. It's like, all right. But like they were riding high off of this revelation here in this episode that like they did get this one right. They did get and it's the next episode, isn't it? Where like Daniel is like I mean, really, two Chinese guys on the same island, both named Miles. They're like, okay. I mean, I think point taken. But so it's weird. It is weird though. So Miles has been there for 3 years at this point, and he's been working for Dr. Chang for 3 years at this point. Dr. Chang did like name his kid after his employee here. Like it's not like they kind of like frame it as like a total coincidence or something.
Yeah. It'd be weird.
And maybe the point is ultimately like that you do influence the future or whatever, but like like in universe or like it'd be kind of weird if you named your kid after The security guy? A little bit?
Yeah. I gotta say, when I've had people at work and they have a kid and they name their kid Ben, I've had this happen multiple times. I'm like, I'm not like,
I'm gonna get
that's me,
I
but
need
I
a
am
cut.
thinking,
Any future earnings.
I do think to myself, I probably wouldn't do that because I'd be thinking like, you know, no, no offense to anybody who picked the name. Good, it's a good name. That's why it's mine. That's why I influenced my parents.
It's a more common name
pick
than
mine.
Miles. So like it's
a more common
less
name.
it's like you
But
don't
if
run
you're
into the same much.
working with somebody every day, if you see somebody every day
Well, they know that you're on
in
your
a
way out.
small
They're like, this
circle,
guy's not gonna last. I'm gonna name my kid Ben.
well, but in the Miles situation,
Right,
you
you're
know,
stuck on an island. Yeah.
like, okay, there's one other guy here.
Well, here's the thing. I think that you should feel with a name like Ben, that's like common enough that like like we've joked about like Jack meeting another person named Jack and like freaking out thinking that it's him. Um, but like yeah, like if Atticus met another Atticus, that'd be like whoa. But if you or I met somebody with our names, it's not like the biggest deal in the world. It's barely even notable. Um, but I do think that we do have the possibility to poison the name. So like I think that you should probably feel good about that. That like you weren't like enough of an asshole at work that like
Sure.
they went home and they're like, I'm not feeling Ben anymore. Like I'm always like for the rest of my life, I'm gonna be thinking about that dickhead from work. But you're inoffensive enough to like still keep the name.
I guess, yeah, I guess so. You're a detective and you go home and like, I don't think we can name our son the Night Stalker anymore.
I don't know, hon. I can't talk about ongoing investigations, but I just want to say, like, I'm not feeling Night Stalker
Yeah.
anymore.
I probably would name my kid. Well, I guess when I think about if I had a kid and what I would name them. Well, you know this. In college, I was thinking about this. Even in college, I was thinking about this stuff. What are the stupid names I would give to my kid? But now, as an adult, I've matured. I've matured to the point of regressing to childish thoughts, which are that like, ooh, if I was a kid, I would just name my kid. Or sorry, if I was an adult, I
Sure,
would name
yeah.
my
If you were an adult,
kid.
if you were a parent, yeah.
If I was a parent, I would name my kid after a famous person, just because it'd be cool. Like I just give them
Who?
the name of somebody else. Well, I'm not gonna give them away. You'll have to wait to see if I become an adult or if I become a parent.
Jesus Christ, you got something to work through there, bud.
If I become a parent,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was just thinking about guys named Adolf before Hitler. Like
my grandpa was named Adolf, spelled differently.
And post main Adolf.
He would have been
right?
pre. He would have been.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because
Sure. Okay.
he would have been pre.
Okay. So then he counts. I was thinking like that sucks for everybody who was already named Adolf.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks. Yeah, if you're already named. Yeah, if you're already named.
I mean, and obviously anybody who's like naming their kid Adolf after that is like, fucking, what is going on with you? Like, we're not, like, I'm not, that's like a different kind of thing. But I just kind of feel like, yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks for those guys. Like showing up to school like the next, I mean, Barack Obama faced a bit of that, right? Where like dumbasses in my part of the country were like, it's just one letter away from Osama, and like he already was named Obama, and also it's not the same name, and also like it's like a name. I don't know.
Yeah, but it would make hard. It would make it hard to run for president.
Mm-hmm. And the Hussein part, I guess that's the more obvious one. But yeah. I mean, but I was dealing with some real geniuses over
Yeah.
my neck of the woods about that. Anyway, did we talk about what we need to talk about? Okay.
I don't know.
Before he can bring the body to Dr. Chang, Hurley tries to take the van containing the body in order to deliver food to the Orchid Station. Since they are both going to the same place and there are no other vans available, Miles reluctantly agrees to let Hurley accompany him. En route, Hurley finds the body and realizes that Miles can communicate with dead people, an ability Hurley also possesses, although in a different way. Because they're talking about the mechanisms of it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that we talked through the mechanisms of it all, but I kind of think that the point of the conversation, or a point of the conversation, is more so about like how Hurley's superpower is more like empathy, or just like being a pal kind of thing, more than like speaking something supernatural. So yeah, after discussing the differences between their abilities, they arrive at the Orchid Station, where Miles transfers the body to Dr. Chang, who, after disposing of it, requires a ride to the construction site. And he's like really upset that Hurley came with, and he threatens Hurley with if he tells anybody about the body, he's gonna be cleaning up polar bear poop on the Hydra Island.
Yes.
So they got polar bears over there doing something. During the ride,
I got
what?
a question.
Oh,
I got a question. Pierre, the doctor, the whatever. What is his accent the, what do you call it? The transatlantic accent? I don't quite know how to describe it.
Well,
it's kind of like that.
The man is half French, I believe, right? Francois Chow, Cambodian and American. Oh, okay.
Cambodian and American. Okay, yeah, but
just named.
Well, I think
Francois.
France.
Yes.
Has a.
They have history.
Had an impact on Cambodia, if that's what you're getting at. I don't know. I don't know about the guy, but it's kind of, it doesn't strike me as a French accent. I gotta say, it's kind of like a. It's, you don't hear it much. You don't hear it much, even then, but especially not anymore. It's very proper. It's difficult to place.
I wonder if part of it is that like we're kind of used to seeing him on the instructional videos.
Yes.
And like those kinds of instructional videos that they would have been emulating really had that very proper
voice.
Enunciation and yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Welcome to the island. And or even if the actor's not like actually doing that himself, just like the grain and the like other presentation of it, and like the filtering through the film of it, like just kind of cues us to hear that voice.
It's true.
But I also bet like, he's presenting it in that kind of tradition. So I think there might be some of that. But during the ride to the Orchid Station, no, rather to the construction site, Hurley keeps dropping hints that they should all hang out sometime. That was so funny.
Yeah.
Funny thing. After dropping him off, Miles discovers that Hurley is writing the screenplay for the 1980 film The Empire Strikes Back from memory in order to give it to George Lucas. Let's go, dude.
Could you do that?
No.
I don't think I remember. And I'd be
like very broad strokes. Just like
I think
where we started,
Snow Place.
Where we ended. Yeah.
Enter. Wait, how do you write? Did you say enter?
Sure.
External. I'm trying to do screenplay voice. Ice, snow, island, battle shit going on. Wookiees.
I don't think there are Wookiees. There's one Wookiee.
Screaming.
There's one Wookiee on Hoth. It's Chewie.
Okay, those llamas dinosaur things
Yes.
that they ride.
The Tauntauns.
Tauntauns. Fighting. Fill in the rest. Can't
Well, they're
remember.
not fighting.
Can't really remember. Well, other fighting is happening.
Sure.
Can't really remember what's supposed to happen. Okay. And then fast forward, they've got the swagged out guy in the floating city thing.
Lando.
And maybe Darth Vader's there too. End credits. Fill in the rest, George Lucas.
Mm-hmm. I thought you were maybe like building up to like a bit, but you were just gonna try to recount the plot. Like, nice.
Yep.
Very good. But I mean, I got a big problem with this whole thing in this episode. Hurley says that he's doing this in order to fix the problems that he has with Empire. What are his problems? He says he expresses contempt for the Ewoks. Well, those are in Return of the Jedi. Like, he should write a different script for Return of the Jedi, not for Empire Strikes Back.
Well, maybe he wants to add the termination of the Ewoks into.
Yeah, by the way, like, all Ewoks are dead. You don't know what Ewoks are yet, but they're dead.
They do what's the one where Luke's sister, and she's like, oh no, they blow up the planet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They could do that. Oh no, and then quick shot down
Death
to
Star
the
gets
little
them.
Ewok guys, and they go bloop bloop.
Yeah,
bloop.
like an unrelated scene that like nobody because nobody knows what the Ewoks are at this point. Yeah, maybe you know, like maybe I'm missing something super obvious, and it's the like, he would just not have Luke and Leia kiss.
I don't know what that's about. What's that about?
Which
they're
siblings.
Yeah, but they kiss. They're kissing in the movie.
Yeah, that would be maybe a change I would make.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, Leia kisses Luke to make Han Solo mad.
I'd replace. You know what I'd do? I'd replace the Ewoks in that second movie. Those are the little teddy bears, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very disgusting teddy bears, I'd say.
Sure.
I'd replace them with minions. The yellow guys.
So, yeah, your letter to George Lucas is also going to tell him about Minions.
Yep.
You're going to love these.
You're going to love these. Hold off until 2020-ish, 20-something, I don't know. And then there'll be this movie that comes out called Minions, or maybe Despicable Me. One of those comes out first. Then you can make the third Star Wars movie and include them. It'll be a crossover.
It'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it.
Trust me, I'm from the future. All right. Hurley compares Miles' relationship with his father to the relationship between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, as well as to the relationship between Hurley and his father. Hurley says that the best thing that he ever did was to forgive his father for abandoning him, and suggests Miles does the same. Miles goes to Dr. Chang's house and observes him interacting with his 3-month-old self. In a very sweet way. He's like being like a sweet dad kind of thing, like a loving dad. However, Dr. Chang is on his way out, and Miles like pretends to tries to hurry away like he's not being seen. Dr. Chang's like, Miles, I need you.
Miles.
And he's like, what? You need me? He's like, yeah, I need a ride to the dock. He's like, yeah, sure, sir, yeah, I'll help you out there. And at this dock, a submarine arrives with Dharma scientists, among them Daniel Faraday.
Whoa. Crazy white guy back on the island.
Yeah. Recognizing Miles, Faraday mentions that it has been a long while since they have seen each other. End of episode.
Yeah. A meeting of two amazing accents. Pierre. Faraday.
Oh, and Faraday, yeah. We're gonna see
Yes.
that in the next episode. Yeah, but yes.
Yeah.
It's fun to be back on the island after our recording break. I am missing Locke, but glad we got to learn more about Miles. I'm gonna give this a 3.
Ooh. I talked a lot of crap about it, but I like this one. This is 4. I like the Miles stuff. I don't like the Kate thing that much. That was annoying, but I like the Miles stuff.
There you have it.
Emo Miles was pretty cool.
Emo Miles did rock.
Got a little bit of extra juice for that.
Yes. This episode of Lost on Ice is brought to you by Ben and I. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, telling a friend about the show. Also, head on over to patreon.com/drskeleton for our bonus show every week. All right. So before we move into the next episode, I want to talk about some behind-the-scenes lore that Zoe dropped to me this week. I didn't want to include this at the top of the show because it's kind of upsetting. And now that you've listened to 45 minutes of the show, you're whatever. Thank you for your attention this far. You can dump out if you want.
You heard the ad. You heard the ad read. We've collected the money now.
Head on out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Horace Goodspeed.
No idea what this is going to be. I'm
Horace Goodspeed.
Okay.
The character. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Zoe told me about this. Okay. Played by Doug Hutchison or Hutchison. He when he was 51, he married a 16-year-old named Courtney Stodden.
That name sounds familiar.
You may have heard of her. Her pronouns now are she, they. A lot of articles about her have her pronouns as they, them. But she's she, they now. She's younger than we are. She's 30. Zoe was watching this. She was watching like true crime documentary on Hulu, like Confessions of a Child Bride, I think is what it's called. And she's like, you know that Doug Hutchison's a pedophile? Like Horace is a pedophile.
Oh.
But yeah, the actor who plays Horace Goodspeed married a 16-year-old when he was 51, and then like pretty soon stopped getting work. So he hadn't done it at this point. But like he did like drag her to a bunch of like reality shows for like the length of their marriage kind of thing. And yeah, they're divorced now, and Courtney Stodden is like opening up about it, or like is talking about it more with time. But there's also, this might be where you have picked up Courtney Stodden's name before. So in 2021, this was kind of like things where things were like, this was at its height of awareness or something. Chrissy Teigen, the model and big time Twitter account in this time period, had been like cyberbullying Courtney Stodden throughout all of her marriage, apparently. In 2011, television personality Chrissy Teigen tweeted and privately messaged Courtney urging her to kill herself. And like did an apology and stuff. But like, I'm looking at the tweets, they're like saying like, my Friday fantasy is you, dirt nap. Go to sleep forever. Like it's straight up like like
that's crazy.
Pretty obvious.
Try not to laugh. But
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. She says, "What drug makes you do that with your mouth? Asking for a friend who really wants to know how to look like an idiot. I hate you."
What is the I mean, I'm not asking because I'm not expecting it to be a good reason, but what's the reason for the
I
bullying?
don't know. I don't know.
Just pick
Well,
a random person?
yeah. I mean, it seems like there's a good article in the Cut from 2021 about this that kind of talks about how the like Courtney got all of the hate about this relationship, even though she was the 16-year-old, and Doug Hutchison was in his 50s. But it was a weirdly recent like skewering of like weird internet stuff. Um, but yeah, yeah. I don't know what to do with this info hazard, but it happened. But I don't know. I guess Horace is a damn freak, dude.
Wow.
As it pertains to Lost, moving forward, I will be thinking of Horace as a freak, and also sorry
He's
if everyone
kind of a
else knew
freak
this
in the
already.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that they're like, we hadn't just been avoiding talking about it. Maybe we should have. I don't know, but no, we just didn't know until like my wife watched the documentary.
Oh, wow. I'm looking it up. I don't recognize Courtney Stodden
Okay,
based on the Wikipedia picture, but
I vaguely remember when Chrissy Teigen did her big apology thing, because she was the biggest account on Twitter for this time, or culturally for some reason about this. She was mega Twitter famous, and then got had this big had to go on this not had to go on this apology tour. I'm talking about cancel culture or something. But yeah, this was just a weird early 2020s online thing.
very strange.
All right. Let's get back to the show. Let's talk about season 5, episode 14, called The Variable. This aired April 29th, 2009. It was directed by Paul Edwards. It was written by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. This is the 100th episode of Lost.
Well, nice.
Wikipedia says that they celebrated the 100th episode
by all getting drunk.
That was what I was waiting for. How many checkpoints did they set up on the island there?
Kauai or whatever. What island were they on?
I'm gonna say Oahu? What's that one? It's the O one.
I think Oahu.
Oahu. Okay.
I think so.
I think it's that one. So obviously, the variable, the Daedalus episode, follow up to season 4's The Constant. Is that season 4? Yeah, it was season 4.
Sure.
And boy, I mean, that's a tough act to follow. That's a big bite to take. Is when you have such a universally acclaimed and famous episode of a show like The Constant, how big that was and how good that was. You're like, all right, we're gonna follow this up. We're gonna call it The Variable. Man, what a bad second half, I think. All right, flashbacks. At a young age, Eloise asks Daniel if he knows what destiny is, and then tells him that he has a special gift, his brilliant mind, that his destiny relies on this. So yeah, young Daniel's playing piano. Completely off tempo, I might add, doing a bad job.
With the metronome too.
Yeah, there's a metronome going. I mean, that's why I wouldn't have clocked it if it wasn't just there's this random ticking that's happening. And Eloise tells him to cut out this art bullshit. Dan, at science time. She's what's the non-offensive term for Tiger Mom?
Tiger. I think it's only offensive if you're saying it racistly.
Okay. Well, I don't want him to say it racistly, but it seems like something that people say about only Asian mothers.
Well, I think you could probably say it
Maybe
here.
I'm being racist by doing that. Okay, but then Eloise is Tiger Mom.
What's the racist animal for British people? Is there one?
The monkey with the fucked up proboscis?
Is there one? I feel like, okay, maybe not racist, but like a lot of countries they get an animal
Yes.
in like
And let's go through them.
stuff, you know? Were they maybe like a tiger? No, just
Nice, dude.
The other tiger.
Okay, so France
lion?
France has one.
What are they? I can't remember.
A frog.
Are you for real?
Well, I'm saying like soft slurs on the episode now, but like don't they say like French are frogs?
I'm imagining like that old artwork, you know, where like you got like somebody's, you know, a woman in a toga. And
The
you got some
Statue of
animals.
Liberty?
No, yeah, that.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
I think it's probably safe to just move on.
Sure, go ahead.
I mean, feel free to look it up, but like I'm not feeling like I'm gonna be able to pull this one off too well.
Whatever.
Canada beaver. Let's do it. You were gonna say a few from like
Canada's got a
America
lot
and
of
stuff.
animals.
Yeah,
Canada's got a lot of animals.
moose and stuff. All right. After Daniel graduates from Oxford University, as the youngest doctor ever, Eloise gives him a new journal as a gift and again reminds him of his destiny. But Daniel's a bit of a mama's boy. We should also mention his fare is, as far as hair goes, they're messing around with us at this point. Like putting like, all right, for the next episode we're gonna put the like. I bet you thought we couldn't top Miles's fucked up hair last episode. Just wait till you see what we put on Daniel's head for this one. He's got the craziest do.
Yeah.
It's really bad. And it's not even like evocative of like a culture or a time period the way that like Miles is like might be like punk or something, or like it's the 80s, so he has a mullet or something. It's just like fucked up, bad hair. Yeah.
He's got bad hair, which identifies to you that he's a fucking nerd. That's what they're trying to tell you.
But he's not too much of a nerd to have like a seemingly like normal girlfriend that Eloise scares off. Get out of here.
Yeah.
He's mine. You know any Mama's Boys?
Do I?
Yeah.
You.
No, I don't know. Chill.
I don't know.
Zoe watches this show like it's like a dating show about Mama's Boys. I can't think of the name. I want to say it's called like Mama's Boy Wants a Wife, but it's not called that. I'm confusing it. But like loving a mama's boy, but like definitely what's going on here with Daniel and Eloise.
Yeah, weird.
Meanwhile, Daniel has received I'm not a mama's boy, by the way. Don't say I'm a mama's boy. And if you don't take it back, I'm gonna tell my mommy, and she'll call your mommy, get you in trouble. Meanwhile, Daniel has received an enormous research grant from Charles Widmore, who Daniel does not know is actually his father.
Crazy.
Years later, following the crash of Flight 815, Daniel has suffered severe psychological effects from performing experiments on himself, as well as Teresa. He has lost his mental acuity and now lives with a caretaker. Loses his like short-term memory issues.
Yeah.
While watching the news coverage of the discovery of the Flight 815 wreckage in the Sunda Trench, he's like super upset about it. And Daniel is visited by Charles, who tells him that he faked the found wreckage, that the real plane actually landed on the island. And so throughout this scene, Daniel's pained expressions are so funny. I don't know. Very goofy.
What if a nerd was crazy and also crying?
Man, I used to,
Acting, begin now.
okay, your motivation, yeah. Like it has like the folder of like all of the character stuff that you have. Nerd, sad, go.
What
Incareer.
director, what am I supposed to be feeling right now? Okay, you are crazy. You're a
I'm
nerd.
a sad nerd.
You're sad. And then remember the golden touch. You are still 95% Jeff Goldblum.
What if Jeff Goldblum had no swag? That's you.
He's kind of doing Jeff Goldblum in The Fly. Have you seen The Fly?
I haven't seen it, but I know it.
Yeah, kind of doing that in a way without turning into The Fly.
Or is he?
Is he? Maybe he will.
Charles invites Daniel to go to the island, which Charles claims will cure his psychological problems. Eloise later visits Daniel and further encourages him to go to the island. What you need is a vacation, my man.
Yeah, you need a vacation. The island is called Hawaii. And you're going to go on a vacation, my
What you
friend.
need is a pina colada in your hand and a trip
Welcome
to the
to
beach.
Margaritaville, my friend.
In 1977, following the events of the previous episode, Daniel has returned to the island, having spent 3 years in Ann Arbor, conducting research for the Dharma Initiative. Another interesting Severance connection. We get Ann Arbor name-checked in Severance. We get Ann Arbor name-checked in Lost. So there.
Place no one would normally go to on their own.
Yeah.
Even though
It's
a bunch
that,
of people go
like-
there, it's probably one of the biggest
it's a
colleges in the U.S.
Major city. Yeah.
It's a major city.
It's kind of like how like Ohio is like a Gen Z joke or Gen Alpha joke about like how wouldn't it be so crazy if someone like went to Ohio or like Ohio's so random. But it's actually just it is like a major extremely populated state and like no like Iowa is so much less on the radar than even Ohio that it wouldn't even get name checked in a joke about it. So like
Sure.
yeah, I think Ann Arbor is kind of in that where like, oh yeah, people have heard about Ann Arbor. So like, but it reads as like, yeah, this is sort of like out in the middle of nowhere, Midwest town.
Yeah, I guess.
If any of that made sense, but yeah. So he has returned because Jack, Kate, and Hurley have managed to travel back in time and become part of the initiative. If you haven't been paying attention. After learning from Jack that were sent to the island by Daniel's mother, Eloise, Daniel visits Dr. Pierre Chang at the Orchid Station and warns him of a catastrophic event that is to occur at the Swan Station in 6 hours. Dr. Chang does not believe Daniel when he says that he's from the future, and Miles does not confirm Dan's story, even after Daniel informs him that Miles is his son. He's like, this guy's crazy. Miles, is this true? Miles is like, no, he's crazy.
Do they say the Luke, I'm your father in Return, whatever the second one is that we were talking about earlier, Empire Strikes Back?
See, this is a common misconception, as that the phrase is actually never uttered in Star
Okay.
Wars.
Okay, fine. But do they say the similar
He
thing?
says, no, I am your father.
Okay, does he say that in that movie?
Yes, he does.
Okay, so that's another that I didn't quite make that connection before. That's kind of
Really?
going on in these episodes.
Okay, yeah. I think that's probably the main one.
I don't know. I can't remember how those movies go. I would say the main whatever. Okay. Whatever.
I mean, outside of it being like literally
Mentioned, literally name
Yeah.
checked was all I was thinking about. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember what happens in Star Wars. I tried to explain the plot of the story to you
You did a
earlier.
very good job. It was. We're gonna get the podcast back. We're gonna do. We have to do it when Starfighter comes out. And you're gonna have to know about. You're gonna have to keep the Star Wars knowledge in your head for the rest of your life, Ben. At the barracks, Sawyer Sawyer, Juliet, Jin, Hurley, and Miles decide that they will flee to the survivors' original beach, abandoning Dharma. Back to square one. Interesting. But Kate, Jack, and Daniel decide to visit the island's native population, the others, and get help to prevent the impending disaster. So Jack's back to fucking things up for Sawyer. He like outs Kate's whole thing. He's like, "You said never to question where Aaron went." He's like, just really blowing up her spot, everything like that. I think Jack is the element of chaos in all of this. That like is like kind of screwing things up, and so I think Sawyer, when he's dealing with lost bullshit, like Jack's bullshit and like the other like bullshit that comes along with the lost stuff, he slips back into antagonism. Like he is like, we see how like calm or like he's in charge and like cool when he's part of Dharma, but then when things get going wrong and he needs to start improvising, thinking on his feet again, he slips back into antagonism. He calls Dan twitchy. He's calling people by nicknames, and crucially, he calls Kate Freckles. And we get the reaction shot of Juliet noticing that, and I winced big time, dude. I feel so bad for Juliet. Oh, calling your ex by her pet name in front of everybody like that. That sucks. That sucks, dude. I mean, I feel bad for Sawyer too. He doesn't want he doesn't want this to happen. He wants to like stay happy with Juliet, and Juliet knows that it's over, probably. And damn, I had it good for so long.
Are you not supposed to do that? I call everybody by their pet names.
Your pet name,
you know me. I'm very warm to people.
Yeah,
I'm
super warm.
Always very
so warm that you will never never directly address anybody by name, any kind of name. So they arouse suspicion from Dharma's head of research, Radzinski, while trying to steal weapons, and a gunfight ensues. The survivors are able to escape. However, Radzinski brings his team to Sawyer and Juliet's house. They find Dharma member Phil is tied up in the closet. Meanwhile, Daniel explains to Jack and Kate that he intends to detonate the hydrogen bomb that has been buried on the island in 1954 in order to prevent the construction of the Swan, which will in turn ensure that Oceanic Flight 815 never crashes on the island, which means that it will never become visible to Widmore's team, so he never sends the freighter, which brings himself and Charlotte. Therefore, Charlotte does not die. And this whole story, this whole like motivation for Daniel being back on the island is really pissing Zoe off. And I think I mostly agree too, but it seems pretty clear that he's just there to ensure the outcome of the events he's trying to avoid. Like he's there to like just cause all of the stuff that he wants to avoid to happen, which like, have we not seen that like a million times? Which is why I kind of think that they actually can change the future in some way. I think that there is some influence that they have, if like not on this timeline. I don't know if they're gonna like shift a timeline or something. But yeah. But also like in defense of it being stupid, or I guess in offense, he says like something along the lines, or Daniel says like, with all my calculations, I forgot to consider the variables, us, which is so stupid. And like, you were thinking about this with your big math brain. We set you up to be this big science guy this whole time. And you like just like forgot to think about like
the main
anyone
part
involved. Like, what were you thinking about? Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, but yeah, to the point of like, you're just here to ensure all of the events, to recall all the events that you're trying to avoid. And this isn't in the recap, but before they leave camp, Daniel approaches young Charlotte and tells her to get out of there, which is like exactly the thing that she says happens. Like some scary guy came up and said, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah. Definitely connection to the thing from Zoe earlier that you were describing. Daniel was kind of being a weirdo when he sees her, and he's like, "Yo,
hold on,
I love this little girl."
Yeah.
Get
Is that
out of
kid
here.
faking a British accent, you think?
The girl? I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's
They do be sounding fake, don't they?
it sounds fake. Like that's not how you talk. Like, come on.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, shout out to Daniel for like having two British parents and going to school at Oxford and just and winding up talking like Jeff Goldblum anyway. Life
Ooh.
finds a way. No, he's not talking like that.
That's not bad. Yeah. I guess you could sound like Jeff Goldblum, but with a British voice, and you wouldn't really sound like Jeff Goldblum. You just sound like kind of a
Like
British
most of the
person.
guys over there. Yeah.
Most of the guys. Yeah, exactly.
But
But then
yeah.
she's really doing the oi mister voice, you know.
I'm swinging on a swing set. I'm not allowed to have chocolate. Like, you don't talk like that. There's no way you talk like that. Adult male podcaster owns child actress. All right. Daniel enters the others' camp. I was thinking of like YouTube sensational YouTube titles about like domestic immature domestic disputes, like annoying husband owns tired wife. With epic clapback. All right. Daniel enters the others' camp with his gun drawn and demands that Richard Alpert take him to see Eloise.
Richard, I do like Richard dealing with all the people
Freaks wandering in, screaming at him.
Wandering back in time to find him. Because he's got a good he reacts to it the way that I, hope that I would react to it. But yeah. Like,
hold on,
let's hear him out. But this
What's
is pretty
up?
But also this is pretty crazy.
Yeah, you're being weird. But like what do you have to say?
What's going on?
But then blam! Eloise shoots Daniel in the back.
Richard's got to work on his what do you call it? Recruiting situation there, He's got a bunch of weirdos on staff, He's not good at hiring.
The discipline. Yeah. I mean, I would love to know what's going on with this organization. They appear to have some kind of rule set, which is how like Ben managed to oust Charles as the leader, whatever. But like, do they not have like an onboarding handbook? Yeah, but like trigger discipline or like whatever. I guess that they learn Latin. That's like Others 101. Anyway, as he dies, Daniel tells Eloise that he is her son and comments that she, referring to her older self, knew that he was going to die on the island, sent him anyway. Eloise is tough. All right. 2007.
My mom. I don't know how would Jeff. How did he say? He did the Jeff Goldblum voice when he said that.
You're my mommy. Like he's taking poison damage throughout it. Ooh, you're my mother. Yeah. 2007, following the events of Dead is Dead, Desmond is brought to a hospital having been shot by Ben. Through the groceries, no less. You got through the groks. Got glocked through the groks. You can do that. Figure it out. While waiting, his wife, Penny, is visited by Eloise, who apologizes for involving Desmond in everything that has happened. Penny later visits Desmond, who is expected to make a full recovery. Charles, who is also Daniel's father. Wait, who's also Daniel's father, rather not also Daniel's father, because he's got the one. Speaks with Eloise outside the hospital, but does not visit his daughter. So yeah, this is, I think, a middling follow-up to The Constant. Don't really care about Daniel's whole thing, and I suppose that we're wrapping his stuff up. I thought it had a lot of promise when he was first introduced, of like the freighter folk, but I mean, I think Miles' story is a lot more interesting. Um,
I don't know if I agree with you
Charlotte's kind
there.
of okay.
I don't know. I think Charlotte's the worst. No disrespect, except
You
like
would,
usual for
but
me,
yeah.
it is a little disrespectful. But yeah, uh, I like Daniel's story. I'm not saying this is a great episode, but I like I like Daniel's story.
I'm pounding the table. Show me Locke. Show me Locke. Show me what's going on with him.
I like not seeing Locke, and I like that Jack is just
What?
hanging out. You know,
At least there wasn't that much Jack.
not a
At
lot
least there
of
wasn't that much.
Jack for quite a
We see him
while.
body bald again. He's body bald Jack. He's just showing off his nasty torso.
Jack is kind of black pilled now that he's been,
Yeah.
a janitor. Also no disrespect intended by that, but he's kind of like, yeah, finally leaving it up to other people to do stuff.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. Lost the. Except I don't know. He'll get in the mix just to screw things up and out Kate. Um. Yeah, dude. I
Well,
don't know. I
yeah,
miss
he'll get
Locke.
in the mix, but yeah.
Yeah, Daniel's like, yeah, he told them all that like, oh, this was actually a huge mistake that you guys came here, um, which was he kind of delivered it. And like, I know like the point that like Daniel is not necessarily the most like socially adept guy,
Yeah.
but it seems like he's always like showing up with like vital information that he just like doesn't like explain well or do things, and it's always like on a super like time crunch that they act now, and he's like, actually, you guys shouldn't have come back. And like, you're supposed to be like, all right, I guess we'll get out of here then. Like, there's not really like a
Yeah.
then what thing next. I'm gonna
Do you
give
think it's
this an episode.
annoying? Do you think it's annoying for all the people who you've got a bunch of people whose parents are showing up, Bring your mom to the island day going on over here. We got Jack and his dad shows
Yeah.
up, major character. We got Daniel and his mom showing up. We got Ken Long and his dad, Miles, and his
Yeah.
dad's on the island.
We see Ethan's mom and dad. I guess Horace is his dad.
Yeah.
Ben's dad is Roger.
Ben's dad. Yeah. Everybody's starting with their parents. Yeah. Who doesn't have a dad? Kate. No.
We see Kate. Or sorry, yeah. Sorry.
We see them, but not on the island. They're not on the
Yeah.
island. Hurley's family, obviously, big part of the story, but they're not on the island.
Mm-hmm.
Juliet, doesn't really have family on the island. She does kind of make a family with Sawyer. Sawyer,
Mm-hmm.
no parents on the island, right? Yeah.
No, we saw his dad on the island, right?
Wait, who? Sorry, who?
Oh, sorry, no, that was Locke's dad. Or is he also Locke? Sorry, there's the con man who's like locked up in the ship in the Black Rock.
Yeah.
Whose dad was that? Was that Locke's dad or Sawyer's dad?
Locke said.
Okay. And
Am I confused?
was he
Ben.
not also
Ben had him locked up.
Locke's dad?
Oh. Yeah. Man, we're really bad at this.
It's like we should know about what the fuck this show is.
Yeah.
They're not
About
okay,
parents.
hold on.
It's all about parents now.
Anthony Cooper
Yeah, he's
was
Sawyer.
well, he's not Sawyer's dad.
Nope.
But he thought
he's
he
the
might be. Oh, the guy who convinced. Sorry, yes,
Sawyer.
Yeah. Yes, who, yes, ruined Sawyer's life kind of thing. Or like,
He's
I guess
the OG
really-
Sawyer. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I thought yes. All right. Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry, people. All right.
It's not the same as a parent, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's give the rate. We got to wrap up. Let's
Okay.
let's rate the episode. What do you give it?
3. I don't know why I
I'm
did
going
my
with 2.
fingers like that, but yeah, 3.
2.
2. Wow.
2 for me. Not into it. But it's also it's a strong season, so like I'm grading on a curve. Blah blah blah. All right, that's it for the show today. If you like it and want to hear more from Ben and I, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Every week, Ben and I release a bonus hangout show and get into the stuff. It's simply too hot for the main feed. This week, we will be talking about who the rest of the parents are from the characters in Lost. Not true. We'll talk about non-Lost stuff over there. Right into the show, drskeletonsartschool@gmail.com. Comment down below. Would we miss? Probably a lot. Is there anybody else who's a pedophile that we should mention? I'm trying to catch them all, guys. Some of them will slip past me.
Alert.
It's not going to be perfect, okay? We're getting. There's going to be.
We're going to get him fired from the show.
Wait. I'm like the Joe Paterno of the pocket. I turned a blind eye from Doug Hutchison's nasty business. Just keep the podcast going. No, that's not true. I didn't know about it. Next week, we're going to finish up season 5. We're going to watch episodes 15 and 16. 16 might be a double long one, so yeah. End of season 5. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.